So the first Men in Black was actually really good, right? I mean, I feel like this is one of those things we forget to revisit because it's a movie everybody saw, you probably had it on DVD, it was super popular, had a big song, TV cartoon for a while, starred actors who were the two biggest box office draws on the planet before the movie came out, but also it was just big enough, but not bloated, didn't overstay its welcome, just kind of a small, weird, oddball sci-fi comedy that was more about ideas and character than pure spectacle that just happened to have a Hollywood budget for its effects, and everyone more or less agreed it was a lot of fun. But yeah, go back and watch it if you haven't done so in a while. The first one of these is really excellent, and it almost feels like the big reason the two sequels were mostly bad is that they recognized the first one was such a specific alchemy of minor details that they were afraid to do anything other than just try to play the same notes again, and that's pretty much what they did to relentlessly diminishing returns, although I guess Part 3 is better than Part 2, but that's more about Michael Stuhlbarg and Josh Brolin than the overall feature. Whatever. Bottom line, Men in Black International is at least consistently aiming to do new-ish, different-ish things with the material and expand on the potential offered by the world, which is what the sequels should have been trying to do all along, starting with the second one instead of contriving reasons to retread the J&K training dynamic from the original. So while you can't exactly call this one good, it's at least not bad, inoffensive, mildly entertaining, some interesting ideas, good chemistry between the leads, the definition of that'll do, pleasant distraction filler. It's a nakedly unnecessary half-effort of a thing that all but declares out loud that it only exists to test out the water for the general viability of the MIB brand and the mutual box office muscle of Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth outside their Marvel Universe identities, but it doesn't lack for charm, however middling. The hook this time finds Thompson as an overachieving brainiac UFO true believer who spent her life turning herself into the perfect prospective Men in Black agent ever since encountering the agency and an alien as a child, but avoiding neuralize her mind wipe by being just that clever. Her character is practically a blinking neon sign daring internet sad boys to start making dumbass Mary Sue accusations, since that hurt sales so much on the last movie they complained about, who actually manages to discover and infiltrate and pitch herself to the agency and ultimately finds herself not only drafted as Agent M, but dispatched to the MIB London branch to help Liam Neeson as Bossman High T, ha ha ha, and Chris Hemsworth as the legendary Bond-esque veteran Agent H deal with the potential return of a sinister race of shape-shifting galactic conquerors called the Hive. However, once there, she quickly discovers that the situation is more complicated and dangerous than she'd been led to believe. Suspected Hive assassins are already hunting on Earth for reasons unknown. Agent H, also for reasons unknown, has seemingly atrophied into a reckless, boorish, lazy, distracted persona far removed from his heroic reputation, and the obvious conclusion soon appears to be that the London office itself has been infiltrated at some level by a Hive mole. When things go badly south, M and H have to go on the run from both the villains and their own colleagues in an attempt to solve the mystery, and of course, save the world by moving through H's extensive connections in the alien criminal underworld. So, hey, that's a good premise. So-so execution, though. It's definitely starting from the right place, taking the setting out of New York, remove the nah, everything is fine, eventually the rest of MIB will fix this, safety net that was fun repeating gag in the first one, but an anchor on the other, send the characters bouncing around Europe, the Mediterranean, and Middle East for a bigger variety of human and or alien atmosphere, and upend the main duo dynamic to be totally different from J&K, but other buddy cop style teams in general as well. It's just mostly lacking in the follow-through. Like I said up front, what was so unique and refreshing about the original Men in Black was that it felt so quick-witted, mischievous, and playful in an era when big-budget movies had been increasingly mechanical and self-important, but the gag was they put a lot of hard work into making the movie didn't look like it was a lot of hard work. By contrast, this one too often feels like someone is making things up as they go along and not really too concerned about structure or how things play out. In the end, instead of playful, the result feels lazy more often than not. Most of it feels like a script issue, though. The production is fine-looking, F. Gary Gray turns in solid action comedy direction, the cast all rings what it can from the material, and Hemsworth and Thompson especially have an easygoing buddy chemistry, but there's a nagging sense that it should have been just a bit more going on than there ultimately is that keeps pulling it down. Without spoiling, there's a running mystery B-plot about the seeming disconnect between Agent H's loutish actual behavior and his stalwart reputation that's, let's say, a little bit too easy to figure out in the context of this franchise, but also seems to be building to an idea that maybe there isn't a disconnect that might say something in a deconstructionist way about the way this type of hero and or character is held up as aspirational, and why that feels potentially really interesting and would tie in so well with the perception versus reality theme of the whole Men in Black series, but it never quite goes for the full payoff, and the overall thematic thrust of things winds up muddled and discarded for a visually impressive but not terribly original monster battle finale. So let's say 5 out of 10. I can't say it's good or recommend that you go see it, but if you somehow have to watch it, I wouldn't go out of my way to avoid it or anything.